I've just come across, walking my dogs again, coming home, just come across the man with the aggressive tan pit bull type dog, Staffordshire Cross, whatever it is. He was waiting for me ahead of me, about 40 or 50 feet ahead of me. He shouted again before I even saw him. And he was telling me that he was waiting for me to pass with my dogs. Shouting at me, did I see how sensible he was? It's just common sense to wait for him. Or for me to wait for him. For him to wait for me, for people to wait for each other while they're, to avoid their dogs attacking each other. Nobody else does that. Nobody. No one. I've been in this area for 10 years. I've been on this planet for 50 years. Nobody does that. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. And I've never seen him tell anybody else to do that. Just me. Other people's dogs attack each other all the time, you know. His dog is dangerous. He says so himself. And it obviously could do harm. But nobody else has to fear him like that. He singled me out to be frightened of him. He singled me out. Nobody else has to be afraid of him, just me. Nobody else has to be afraid that his dog will attack their dogs, just me. I suppose he can handle his dog with everybody else, but with me, it might reach my dogs. It might attack them. It might get to them. And it might. It's a big dog and it's dangerous. It could do a lot of harm and it acts very dangerous. And he says it could tear them apart. So, there were roadworks that made a footpath into a narrow lane of about 3 feet across. So what happens when people see each other suddenly at the last minute? Well, they act normally, don't they? Whoever passes, whoever goes back and makes room, does so. Presumably they're both hopefully normal people, although the person with the dangerous dog is probably less normal, or maybe secretly not normal. Anyway, should I look ahead of me 40 or 50 feet everywhere I'm going, in fear of dangerous dogs? No. Nobody else does. As I've just said, people are normal, generally. But he wants me to look ahead of me everywhere I go and wait for him to pass all the time, out of common sense. He wants me, nobody else. I bet you. I bet he doesn't try this on with anyone else. Because I'm the one who gets weird behaviour off people. People don't believe it. I bet he doesn't ask anybody else to do this. Just me. Just I am to wait for him to pass. Or just I am to wait to have him waiting for me. I said to him, we were shouting at each other. I don't want to shout at him. I don't want anything to do with him. He started shouting it. He started telling me, giving me a lecture about common sense and how we should wait for each other. I don't want to wait for him. I don't want anything to do with him. And I spoke over him because I didn't want to stay and listen to his lecture. I just spoke over him and said, anybody normal would put the dog by the fence, that's the other side of me. You know, the other side of him on the other side of me, and just hold it close. Which is entirely possible. You can hold a dog close. You can put your hand right next to the leash, on the leash right next to the collar, the dog's collar. You don't need to let it keep reaching over to allow it to reach other dogs. Last night, as I walked my dogs in the evening, out of nowhere, my dog started taking an interest in something. I thought they'd seen a squirrel across the road. They weren't barking even. And then I thought I'd better take notice of it because there are weird people about, like this man. And so I looked to my left. I looked around to see what they might have been looking at. And I think they had spotted him coming again with his dog last night. And as soon as it saw us, it started barking. In fact, it was barking. There was an odd noise. There was an odd noise that I couldn't recognise with all the traffic going by. I think it was it growling. And that's what my dogs were looking at. And then they started barking a little bit, and I thought I'd better take notice of what was happening in case it was some crazy again. And it was him, and he was reaching over with his dog as he passed us. He was up really close suddenly. He wants me to be afraid that he could be anywhere at any time, letting his dog... He was doing this reaching over business, letting it reach me, letting it reach towards my dogs, giving it the idea that if it reached us, it could attack us, teaching it really to attack my dogs instead of pulling it away from them. So anyway, as he passed us again, he started having a go at me, and then he was laughing, ha, 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 ha. Laughing at what? That I suddenly had suffered a violent threat of violence out of nowhere. I was standing in the street after walking my dogs, deciding whether or not to go any further or go back. And they'd just been sniffing a tree, and I was wondering whether to go out any further because it was cold or whether to just go home. And suddenly, on my left, in the darkness, out came him and his wife or whatever she is, girlfriend, whatever. How come I'm running into them all the time? It's almost deliberate, not on my part. It's almost like these people know when I'm going out. I've run into them so often. It's just not... It's not something chance would allow. When one of them starts on me, they often come again and again and again. Very often, in a short space of time. There's another man who's a neighbour of mine. Sometimes he comes again and again and again. So anyway, he seems to want me to live in fear. He seems to be teaching me to be frightened of him, telling me to look ahead of me everywhere I go. Just to live in fear, to be scared of big dogs attacking my dogs all the time. Came out of nowhere last night, and suddenly I found myself faced with him threatening my dogs as he passed and laughing about it when he walked off. He's teaching me to live in fear. And again today, this morning, as I walked my dogs, he was there as I came back. So he's teaching me to be frightened of him, to live in fear of him. But why should I do that? I bet you he's not trying it on with anyone else. I bet nobody else is getting this behaviour off him, so why me? People don't believe me when I say these things, but I get this kind of strange, creepy, weird behaviour of people, again and again and again. It happens so much, people just don't believe it. They think I'm making it up. Thank God I got the video of him, as you can see. Further down my videos. That proves one incident, with him saying it was common sense that I should wait for him or we should wait for each other. Nobody has to do that. Nobody else has to. You take your dog to the other side of you and you hold it close. If you can't manage a dangerous dog, you don't have it. Or you put a muzzle on it. That dog should have a muzzle if it's dangerous. He says it is. He shouldn't be reaching over to let it reach at my dogs. It did manage to reach one once and knocked him over. Bit him and knocked him over. I saw him lean over to allow it more room to do so. That was just a few months ago. The police don't help. They just say they don't deal with dog-on-dog attacks. So I'm left with people victimising me, trying to teach me to live in fear of them and accommodate them, treat them like they're special in some way. Nobody else demands this kind of behaviour and treatment. But these weirdos, they demand it and do other strange things. And the police don't believe it. The more it happens, the less they believe it. They've now decided I'm mad. That's what they treat me like and indicate to me. So they don't help at all. They don't help you if you're poor, really, I think. And the more help you need, the more they decide to call you mad because it's cheaper, probably. They'd rather be in with people with money or something. I find it all really disgusting. He's a psychopath terrorising someone. He shouldn't have a dog, any dog. And he should be locked up. That's my opinion. So why do the council allow it and call me mad instead of him when he's the madman? He's mad. He thinks he can terrorise people. Why do the council allow it? Because they're unfit. Why do the police allow it? Because they're unfit. We're ruled by bad people, as we know. They'd rather hang out with paedophiles like Jimmy Savile in his Friday club and do God knows what. Seriously, we know that, don't we? If you've got any sense, then help someone. God forbid they should actually help anybody. They don't like the idea of being servants, of playing their part, of doing anything useful. They like the idea of being a force. So I'm left to cope with this psycho on my own, which basically just means suffering him. Thanks, bye.